Hey, happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Hey.
Thank you, thank you all for joining us again. What I am looking forward to most in this AMA is just using the word daisho, which I've been trying not to say for the last 3 weeks in these.
Daisho.
Daisho.
Oh.
I may have said it 2 weeks ago on accident.
Yeah, I think you did, but I don't think anybody knew what you were talking about then.
Just assumed you
I,
were a sport fan or something.
yeah, I still don't. So yeah, this is our party for today. We've got Hack Attack here as usual. We have Cinder Cipher, the primary author of the white paper that hopefully some of you have checked out and that we're pretty excited to talk about. We've got some great questions that have been submitted, so I'm psyched to get to those. And Zorling, our master of technology and blockchain and all things implementation, because I think we're going to have some good questions that touch on that as well. So let's kick it off. I think we've got a lot to talk about today. And as we usually do here, I think we usually kick it off with giving stuff away. Hack, let's talk about your story contest because we've had some great internal debate even just in the last hour over the winners of this latest contest.
Well, just to give a heads up to some people, if you do not have a Fae, please do not enter the contest. I've already had to, yeah, like some people have put in Faes. I mean, if that's going to change, let me know. But I don't want people to get confused, and I just assume, okay, they just haven't put their in-game name, and then that's something we probably need to talk about off. Sorry, but like
Well, I think the deal here was we wanted the story behind your Fae, right?
Yeah, like
So
your own Fae, not like a Fae, your own Fae. So I've had to tell several people today, you are not eligible. Please don't make me do that. It makes me feel bad.
I don't think this precludes, hang on to those stories because I don't think this precludes us from doing another, like fan story contest that could be open to more. But yeah, I think for this edition, we wanted to reward those folks. So why don't we jump into the winners? And this will be good because Hack doesn't even know who the winners who were chosen.
I really don't know. I don't. Y'all catch it for me.
Chosen by an elite committee of master storytellers that pored over all of these and debated the finer points of narrative and world building over all of them. Yeah, let's jump right into it and give out one soul to their third prize winner, who coined the best acronym ever in their story. This is the story of Fae number 1677, Oven Hexler, who is 142 years old from Tree Springs and owned by Purple Penguin. And this is kind of a short one, so I'm just going to read my favorite sentence here. Oven now uses his photography skills to gather information on Daisho for the Daisho Education and Research Program, or DERP. That you had me at that. That's just too awesome.
I saw that, and that gave me a good giggle.
Yeah. Congratulations to Oven Hexler and owner Purple Penguin, new owners of One Soul. The second one, Cypher, do you want to give this?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Second place goes to. Let me just bring this up really quick. We have Ramley Burger.
The story of Dia Klotz, I think. Yeah. What I loved about this was it just had such a sense of mystery to it, and you really wanted to read what comes next in this story. It was like the opening paragraph of a novel. But we've got all these posted, don't we, in the in one of the community threads channels? I think.
I don't. They are posted in our community channel. I don't know if they've made their way up yet.
Okay. All right. We will have all these posted in the community channel. But just to give you a teaser of this one, Saya, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Saya was found when she was a baby by the docks by a local worker who then adopted her into his family. Not much is known about her past except for the gold necklace with a distinct emerald green pendant with a silver cross. Nice use of the MacGuffin detail there. I love it. Sense of mystery. One soul goes out to our friend Rom Lee Berger for the story of Sia Klatz. Hey, can I note that Sia Klatz at only 21 years old is, by an order of magnitude, one of the younger Fae whose story we read here. This was interesting to me, is that all of the Fae stories, they were hundreds of years old. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's cool. I guess that's how time runs there. And Cypher knows that I'm dying to read this one because our grand prize winner of a Fae NFT, drumroll, Hack. I know you're on the edge of your seat. This is the story of, it's either Dander Lee or Danger Lee, and really both of them are pretty good. I would have to flip a coin to decide. And in the top of the page that says the name is Dander Lee, but then the first sentence is Danger Lee, and I'm equally attached to both of them. But can I just read this first paragraph, which might be the most emo opening paragraph in the history of literature. Danger Lee was born of fire and ashes in the small oceanfront town of Freeland in the midst of war between two opposing worlds. Her appearance is darkness. Her heart is stone. And her eyes are a black abyss with hidden fears and traumas. Her sharp mind is capable of solving any extremely difficult task. Oh man, I just want to hear a guitar solo after that. So, congratulations to Dander or Danger Lee and owner Traffic777. I think that's a great little character bio. We will post all of these where, if you haven't read them already on our social channels, you'll be able to read them on Discord, and they're all a lot of fun to read. We had a few entries, and I think a pretty healthy debate about some of these. You included like your own character art, much of which was really awesome, and we had to kind of decide how much that was going to sway us, because being kind of a story contest, do we weigh that in their favor, or what, or is this more for the people without Photoshop skills? But regardless, we got great entries from you all, and as always, you're amazingly creative, and thank you for participating. And we're very happy to get out a Fae to our grand prize winner, and one soul to our two runners-up. So what do you think, guys? What should we do? Should we jump into some questions? I'd kind of like just to hear from from Cypher and Zorling, now that the white paper first draft is out there. What are you guys thinking about it? How are you feeling about it?
I feel good.
So, I'll kick off here.
Yeah, go ahead. There's a collision there. Go ahead, Cypher.
Okay. Personally, I'm super excited. It's been a lot of work getting us to this point. We're really excited because a lot of the things that are called out within the white paper, we're hard at work, either flushing out, adding to, providing more detail that we can share with the community. And really, if there's anything I want to say about the white paper, it's that it's version 1.0. It wasn't but hours after posting that live that we had a few questions regarding the white paper, and we are going to be updating it on a weekly, if not semi-weekly basis. In fact, I think that the community could expect to see some of those updates land early next week. We'll be taking time to note those changes at the bottom of the white paper. We really want to make sure it's clear when we're making adjustments, especially if it's something that's changing as opposed to being just an addition. But it kind of brings me to one or two of the things that I've seen regarding questions to what was in the white paper in this first draft, and one of them was related to Fey rarity, and it was kind of funny because Rain had posted a question to me. I looked at that question and it was instantly apparent that the write-up about the rarity of the Fey NFTs is a little bit confusing, so we're going to clarify that, as well as some of the other questions, everything down to what is the image at the end of the white paper. And so I'm hoping we can get to a bunch of that stuff in today's AMA. But most important thing is that it is a work in progress. There will be additions and adjustments as we refine and get further along in the production process here. And so, yeah, I'm excited. So.
Yeah. I think there's some obvious things we haven't gone into. What is the catching mechanic experience like? What is the battle mechanic experience like? And part of that is because we're prototyping some different ideas, but also we're gonna want you all to participate in that. We want to put out our first ideas and things that we've prototyped and get your feedback, and it's going to be an iterative process. But this gives us a starting point, both with the fiction and the overall mechanic and how it relates to tokens and earning and everything else. And we are pretty excited about the high concept. But Zorling, you started to say something on the white paper as well.
No, I just took it too literal. I thought you wanted to hear from Cypher and I at the exact same time.
In harmony. Yeah.
That's right. I'm excited because I see this as kindling to the creative fires that are out there, and we've already heard some great feedback, and we've got some great questions to go over. But I'm excited.
This is the cool thing about Web3 gaming and this whole space, is that because we have so many people here just in this AMA or in our Discord who are literal partial owners of this game, and you are as invested as we are in making this a success. So we hope that you are super vocal about your ideas and about questions about the mechanic, and we do have a lot of those. So why don't we jump into that, because we do have some things that we really need to get into here. And why don't we just start from the top? Cypher, we've got a question from our story winner, Penniless Imp, here about the secret stats. There were questions about that, and like if you have multiple Fae, how will the benefit from them carry over? Is it just pertain to the one that you are live with at the moment? Do you want to kind of hit what the sorry, I meant Penniless Imp was a prior winner, not a winner of the story contest. Thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, if you have multiple Fae, and I'll read this out, in your wallet, will you need to switch between them to benefit from each bonus, or is it passive? So if I've got like 3 Fae, do I get this bonus just by having them in my wallet, or is it passive? Do I have to have it currently selected, or do I have to switch? And if I have to switch, then I would maybe suggest, says Penniless Imp, to change it. Switching between 2 isn't bad, but constantly switching between 3 might be a little annoying if you're doing it a lot. And if you can't change it, perhaps give us the ability to bind or switch Fae to hotkeys, which in itself is a good idea. But what's your read on this?
So first of all, I actually have to say I really love it when people present solutions to problems. And so I actually like the idea of key binding to switch between your Fae regardless of what we do. But a couple things I wanted to point out were, yes, this is really good. And you're actually quite close with the first suggestion, where if you were to own a Fae from each secret stat category that could have stacked benefits. We do have some economic questions that we're going to have to answer as we continue forward with these tokenomics. And it is while owning 10 Fey and staking 10 Fey down the road would definitely have a benefit for every Fey in your wallet, we wouldn't have a case where if you had 10 Fey with Secret Stat 1, you would instantly see 100% increase at all times. That would definitely that could create some collisions in the economy. So I think your first suggestion there of seeing a benefit from each of those 3 secret stats is quite close. A little bit more information will come as we get into the reveal of the full battle mechanic design, but that's what I'll say for now.
Cool. Thank you. I mean, it's great because we're identifying some things here that we've been in this design and talking about this design for a long time now, and when we actually get it all down on paper, it's good to see the things that we kind of missed explaining because it's just sort of understood. We've been talking about it among ourselves for so long. This is a good basic question, and maybe it gets into how much detail you want to go into on the combat mechanic for right now. But Weary wanted to know, will it be real time or turn based or what?
Yes, and right now I can confidently say we are working on a turn-based mechanic. And so, yeah, I mean, without diving too deep, yeah, we're looking at turn-based combat. Obviously, that would be occurring in real time, but yeah, turn-based, player to player.
Yeah. Well, talk about some. I mean, we've talked about some influences before, like Pokemon Go and other games. What other games would you say that that you referenced as we were thinking about this?
Yeah, so definitely referenced some Pokemon Go, and that's been a big topic of discussion in the prototyping, as well as we've been referencing Shin Megami Tensei. That's another game that has definitely played a part in our thinking. I'd say those are our top 2, and in fact, they are different enough that has created a lot of collisions in our debates, and people are passionately kind of weighing in on either side as we play. But I think the real idea here is that these prototypes, as they fully come online and as we get things ready to go, I think it's going to be readily apparent based on the fun factor. So.
Got it. Okay. So there is a lot more to come, guys, on the catching mechanic and the combat mechanics, especially, I think, and that's where a lot of our conversation and effort is going right now. That, and we've been deep into the conceptual process on the Daisho themselves for a while, and how their stats and rarities and everything else break down. So we're going to be excited to share some art with you in the very near future. In fact, yeah, how quickly do you think we're going to see that, Cypher? We've talked about, I know we're doing some modeling as well as some conceptual stuff right now.
Yeah, so we're moving as quickly as we can, and to be completely open, we have some high hopes as we head into next week's actually kind of a big week in the gaming industry as well with GDC. So we're going to see what things we can have prepared by then. But I think if I wanted to play it safe, I'd say within the next 2 weeks. But if we are successful in some of these tasks, then I could see something as early as next week.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, that's right. Next week is the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, and we will have folks there. We will have folks at NFT LA, which is taking place the following week, and then there's a NFT week event in Miami that we'll have some folks at talking about Cinder and talking to some partnerships that we will be announcing soon, coming up out of those. But let's go, and I think Zorling, we're going to need you in here as well as Cypher. Let's get into the tokenization and how that all works when it comes to Daisho. I think this is a good basic question from Ji. Are Daisho innately tokenized on the blockchain, or do they need to be tokenized by players? If so, can the stats change once tokenized? Clearly somebody who understands how metadata on the blockchain works. And let's hit that one first, because he's got a question about liquidity pools too, and we'll get into that.
So there are a couple of things I can throw out really quickly from the gameplay side for this one. So Daisho will be owned by your character, but the idea being that you will be able to mod out your Daisho, bring them into battle, be able to do a lot with them, but basically up until a point in which you want to tokenize that Daisho. Tokenizing the Daisho opens up the potential for staking, loaning out to other players, that kind of stuff for profit, but it does in fact lock them in. There's a little bit we've been talking about here because we have a pretty cool merge mechanic that we've been looking into, which would allow you to basically take two tokenized Daisho and merge them, which would effectively burn those two NFTs and generate a new tokenized Daisho with improved stats. So that's the piece that we are looking at right now. But before I get over my own head in the technical aspects of that, maybe Zorling can add a bit.
You bet. Yeah, this is actually a question that certainly comes from somebody that understands the immutable form of blockchain. But one thing that I can add that's quite exciting is we're always trying to stay on top of leading tech. And there is something that's going around right now, and there's a number of entities that are looking at working together for this, but they want to create a standard that would be called a dynamic NFT. So I am looking into this, and what that would allow is we would be able to mint on the blockchain. You've got your Daisho there, but the metadata behind it would be more dynamic. It would be that soft link to it, and we could update that as you're playing, as you're leveling up, and that to me would be the best of both worlds. Now it's uncertain as far as exact implementation, but we're looking into it, and that gets me excited because you could have that NFT, you could be leveling it up, and then selling it, staking it, and doing whatever you'd like with it at the same time.
Yeah, and I think the part that we can't let get away from us here is that this is really where the whole play to earn and create to earn mechanics come together, right? Because we see your ability to customize the Daisho, not just in the sense that I'm going to put a different attachment on them and now they're a vacuum cleaner as well as whatever else they do. Your ability to really make them look cool and unique and uniquely yours and create what I think are going to be some really fantastic original designs out of them. That's going to be a value driver along with their stats and their efficacy in battle. So I think I love the idea that maybe working with the dynamic NFT standards that are emerging. I can create a Daisho that I have just made uniquely mine and really, really cool looking, and I tokenize it. And then when somebody else buys it, then my design is still there, but the stats can still improve, or things like what you're talking about there, Zorling. Do I understand that right? Is that the kind of thing that would be possible?
Yep, that's exactly it. Now, being on Solana, our transactions, gas fees are low, our impact to the economy is low. So we actually could, to get around it, if the dynamic NFT standard doesn't emerge soon enough, we could create another path where as you're leveling up, it burns your NFT and regenerates another through some kind of a smart contract process. That's another option, but I would much rather go this dynamic NFT route where as you're playing, your Daisho is getting enhanced and modified, and you don't even have to think about it. And you don't even have to spend the pennies of transactions, right? They're cheap, but it's still something. So that's our ideal, and we're working towards it.
Got it. Okay. We have a couple of follow-up questions here that I think are good ones too. To get into the tokenomics a little bit. One is will Cinder be making Ash and or Ember liquidity pools? Those being the tokens that we are going to be launching later this year. And we have gotten a lot of questions on tokenomics and liquidity pools, etc. And I'll tell you, first of all, that we have not gone into deep detail on the tokenomics in the white paper, and the reason for that is we are in the process of closing some very exciting partnerships for Cinder that will bring to bear some of really the deepest expertise in tokenomics currently operating in Web3. We are going to have some huge announcements to make in April on this. Until then, we're only really addressing the tokens insofar as they relate to gameplay. But this person clearly understands tokenomics to the point that they understand that there has to be liquidity pools in order for them to be a path to fiat and to accomplish a lot of the other things that we want to. So liquidity pools would necessarily be a part of that, but that brings up a lot of other questions on how those are apportioned that we aren't going to get into yet. In part because we have some exciting partners to announce soon that will be assisting in that, and I think really helping drive the value of it too. And back to you with this, Zorling, because this is a good question just to understand how those NFTs are held. But are Daisho owned by the NFT avatar or by the wallet?
Yeah, and
Cypher could
really, I
touch
think
on
the
that.
answer to that. Oh yeah, sorry, I can totally tackle that one.
Just for that, I think we should give it to Hack.
Cypher.
No, I think we should give it to Hack just because you guys are colliding there. So NFTs or wallets, Hack.
Wait, hold on. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh my goodness! Did I
I'm waiting
drop
for this answer.
something? Oh no! Excuse me. I dropped something.
Yeah, you came off mute and we heard the fork clatter to the floor and.
Oh no, y'all! I spilled Sunny Delight. It's getting everywhere. Okay. I don't know. I think the best person to ask, to be honest. That's something I think I have to research myself. So I know some of the people who have joined Cinder. I'm still somewhat new to NFTs and whitelisting, but I'm learning it, and it's actually a lot easier than I thought. But there are still some things where I'm going to leave to the professionals for sure, and y'all will know a little bit more than me. And like, I'm still learning from you guys. I listen to these AMAs to learn as well. Does anybody else write down notes, or is that just me? Okay.
No, I'm learning from these guys as we go too. But Zorling, you started to say, why don't you clarify for us how those are held?
Sure. Actually, let's repeat the question just because we got a little off topic. But it's Daisho, whether they're held in the wallet or if they're held by your Fae. Was that the question? And the reason I ask is if it's held by, if it's more of a gameplay question, it is definitely held by your character. Your character holds it, and Cypher is messaging me on the side, telling me what to say. So I'm actually going to hand it off to you, Cypher.
All right, thanks. That is correct, though. So the idea being, when you have these characters that you're able to mod out, and you'll be collecting components and putting them together, and you'll have all of this whole creative component. And at that stage, they will be basically part of the game. So they will be owned by your Fae. At the point at which you tokenize them, though, that's the point at which they will begin to show up within your wallet, and they will be owned by your wallet, because that's the moment you're able to sell them, stake them, loan them out, any of those things. So that's the answer there.
Now,
Right.
Follow-up question. Once I tokenize them, does that mean they leave the game and my Fae no longer has them?
No, so at that point, they should still be available to you within the game. They just would now also be accessible via your wallet.
Yep.
Okay, so I have, and I keep, whenever we talk about this, I compare it to Pokemon Go, because, and I think we talked about this in a prior AMA, anybody who's played that, or really any Pokemon game, you're out catching Pokemon, you throw most of them away, because most of them, they're not rare, they don't look cool, they don't have good stats, you're not that interested in them. But the ones that you catch and that have good stats and you want to hang on to them, you want to spend time building them up, training them, giving them new attacks, all of that. Those are the ones in Cinder terms that you might decide to tokenize. And that doesn't mean that you have to stop playing with them in the game, though. It just means that if you wanted to sell or transfer or stake it or have somebody else give somebody else access to it, that's how you would do it. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, that is correct. The parts that I think we're still heavily in discussion about are, this stage. As I have a die show, I've maybe even acquired some new parts that I want to mix and match on that die show, or other things that I want to be changing out. I think we're really just in this discussion of the acquired die show between that stage and the tokenization of that die show and the user journey between that. And so those are the details we're kind of deep in the weeds on. My current expectation is that you would be able to actually utilize those die show, but really it's the immortalization of the die show that takes place when they are tokenized, and really unlocking that potential for staking and loaning out.
Right. Okay. All right. I think I've got a good handle on this now, and I'm going to speak for Hack and think that Hack has a good handle on it too, and we're gonna move on. We had a few questions come in about on the subject of land, because I think we made like one reference in the AMA, but then we got all of these questions about this topic in particular, and I'm going to throw this over to both of you guys to answer some of the questions about how we're thinking about it currently. I would just say that at this stage, our emphasis, our energy is all kind of towards building out the die show mechanic, the catching and battle mechanic, the earning loops, the basic gameplay loops in the world, and we're less focused on. I mean, land is going to be a part of this, or at least building plots, I guess. But it's not a big focus of what we're doing design wise right now. I think what we can say is I would not relate it to a sandbox or Decentraland like grid system where I'm bidding to have a plot closer to Snoop Dogg than you are. But I mean, give me a little bit more cipher on kind of what your vision is for this and how it works.
Yes. So this is one of those cases where we're early on. So right now my eyes are definitely bigger than my stomach from a design perspective. But we have really high hopes here. So we look at this in terms of, right, we want a place that these Fae and characters can call their own, that they can decorate and customize. There are other elements of tokenization that we've been talking about, especially as it pertains to some of the future create to earn mechanics that we're looking into. But we also do see hooks for gameplay, and so there are two main ways right now that we're looking at kind of gating or limiting the number of die show that a given character can hold. So we look at land as a way to expand that set. We also look at the Fae or the character themselves as having a way of expanding that inventory through gameplay. This kind of brings up some of that player choice of which die show you want to keep versus tokenize versus sell, all of that. Beyond that, there are other gameplay elements that we really would love to weave in. I even saw great suggestions in here, like leasing out land or having people come and, can I mine on someone else's property? Well, as we get deeper into this battle mechanic, we're looking at other ways that we can add value to the die show through land ownership. But again, also wanted this to be a place where kind of some of this creativity happens as well. So.
I think that's a big part of it for me, and I think when people hear land and land auction and all that, they're thinking in terms of the sandbox auctions, and there's a big run on these, and they quickly become way too expensive for the average player to even take part in, and that's not our goal here. I think that in those cases, it's the scarcity of the land that is the big value driver. In Cinder, I think the value driver should be what the player decides to build on it, what the player contributes creatively to it. So it's less about the land being super scarce or its positioning being a huge part of the value, and much more about what the player contributes and letting the player be the value driver rather than just the ability to pay a lot for it or have it have a bot get in there first and buy it all. That's my just pontificating on the subject. I take it from your silence that you agree, and I'll just continue assuming that. All right. So we touched on land, and there were some follow-up questions here about will it all be the same size? Are you going to have small, medium, large plots, houses? Can you build onto it and extend it and all that? And again, I think we're early in talking about this. People who have seen the history of the games that we've worked on in the past, it's a big part of them has been creating interfaces where the average player can create a really cool hangout space for their friends. And you don't need to know a complicated scripting language. You don't need to stack voxels to build something. That you're given kind of a play set to build with, and it's really more your aesthetics and your creativity that are going to contribute to it. So I would just say, while we don't have a lot of details to share on how land is going to be apportioned or building plots or whatever we want to call them, that's the ethos that's going to drive it more than the scarcity and the grid system, like land distribution. That sound right? Yes. Okay. All right. We won't talk about land. This is definitely in your wheelhouse, Zorling. So Gaza asks, will the NFTs created by players with creator tokens have royalties from future sales? If so, who do they go to? To Cinder or to the creating player? And that's one of the interesting things we've talked about with reference to Web3 and games in the future, is that there can be downstream royalties for creators. So how are you thinking about this?
Yeah, thank you. This is really an exciting question to answer because, as you mentioned, this is where the power of Web3 comes into play. For you to actually own your game asset, it's not you're playing a game and sure, it's in your inventory. You own this. What we'd like to see is the same thing that we get in the Web3 world. When we minted with Fractal, we were the ones that said the seller fee is 7%. That's secondary market sales. 7% of that transaction gets carved out, and then it gets distributed among what's called a creators list. And anybody in that list, there could be a percentage of that seller's fee, what they get. I would love to see, and this is something that I think we're committed to doing. It's a little bit, there's some technical involved, but the people that are creating these second-gen phase, I'd love to see their wallets in that creators array, and absolutely they see benefit for secondary sales. So that gets me really, really excited. And I think it can be lucrative. People that are creating masterpieces have an opportunity to earn here. So I don't know if did I check off all those boxes? You can tell that I really am excited about this because it is a huge deal. This is something that we've never been able to do in traditional games. Web 2.0, this wasn't even a possibility. But the smart contracts in secondary sales, they'll be looking at that creators array in the metadata and seeing, oh, here's an account, here's a percentage, and that's where funds get delivered. So pretty awesome.
And what does that look like for me as the average player? So I pop into my Phantom wallet one day and am like, what the hell? There's some soul in there, and I don't know where it came from. Is it just going to show up like that?
It just shows up just like that. And you can go into the Solana ledger and see, oh, that's where that money was coming from, and hopefully it's secondary sales of books that are created. It's been trading hands and hopefully going up in value. So ideally, you'd be surprised by larger and larger numbers.
I like that. So the idea here would be, because I think as we've signaled to people, we're going to be dropping these creator tokens here soon, and then in April you're going to be able to use those to generate another avatar. And we're not going to have the full functionality of our avatar customization interface. We're going to have some. You're going to be able to, you are going to be able to customize these avatars, but we have much bigger plans for avatar customization down the line. And ultimately, the idea is that you are going to be, you're really going to have the power to create some super amazing stuff and take the avatar NFTs far off the line of the sort of the primitive one that you're given to customize. And at that point, these really are going to be your original works of art. And I think we all feel very strongly that as the artist, you should continue to benefit from that work of art, even if it's sold by 10 people down the line. Yeah, that's a cool part of all this.
I wish we had like a button people could hit, like to cheer, right? We could see like this is something that other people are interested in. But without it, I'm feeling it coming. You guys are as excited as I am.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of us thinking about the business model of making games, right? It's not us cranking out content and then selling it to players. It's us creating some tools and some primitives for players to work with, and for them to create cool stuff and sell it to each other. And then we take a small piece of that as being sort of the marketplace or the ecosystem, but the players are the ones who are really driving the creativity of it, and we're trying to enable creators with cool visions for what they want to build to actually benefit from the time that they're spending customizing things. So yeah, it's brave new world.
Yeah, and
what's
Cypher, I think,
yeah, go ahead.
or Spire, I think there's something I would add to that too, which just as we're talking about the release of the creator token that's coming here pretty soon, that I kind of want to paint a picture for how we're going to stage these creativity tools that we're going to be handing out within the game. And so as this first avatar comes out with the creator token, I would call that like the base level creativity. There will be customization and things that the players will have the ability to alter and define in advance of locking in these new NFTs. Then phase 2 to this becomes the release of the Daisho customizer, which is actually quite powerful and gives quite a bit more access to the player in terms of what they are able to create. And then there's we made reference to Cinder's creativity toolset within the white paper, and that is kind of the piece de resistance for us. That's the moment where we feel like we're kind of pulling back the barriers and giving as much creative freedom as possible without handing out a tool set that requires a huge learning curve and isn't accessible to all. So really, I look at it as though every couple months we'll be seeing these strides in that direction, showing more and more of what this creation, this power of creation will look like within Cinder. So
that's cool. And I think you kind of teased this at the top, Cypher, but are we prepared to talk about what that avatar is?
Oh, yes, we totally are. So I'll go ahead and just drop that bomb now. But for anyone who did take a look at the white paper, that avatar is hinted at in the piece of art at the very bottom, at the very end on page 25. What we have decided to move forward with is effectively a cousin to the Fae, so to speak, and we're moving with an imp avatar. What you're seeing in the white paper is, some high concept for that character, but it's worth noting that we look at these as we're putting them together as more of a canvas that the player is going to be able to make alterations to and adjust and tweak and set settings for. So we're really excited about this avatar, and in fact, we're extremely close to being able to show off what that model will be, and so I think we can expect to see that here pretty soon.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Blue Lizard draw an imp, just out of curiosity. I've been really impressed. In fact, I didn't know Discord had that streaming capability where you can click and watch somebody draw, and I believe it was Blue Lizard. Blue Lizard, let me know if I'm wrong. But they were sketching a fae, and it was pretty awesome. So it'd be good to see some sketches.
I'm gonna check that out.
It really was cool. So some imp sketches could be fun. Hack. Maybe I should send that down to your lane.
Yes, please send me all the sketches, all the artwork. I will put those on everything. I love that. Give me a folder, please. I would love that.
So now you know. That was the hint at the end of the white paper is the imp, which you are going to be able to generate one with your creator token. You'll be getting the token here. I think the plan is still to airdrop those at the end of March, and then release the ability to use them in kind of middle of April. Is that still right, guys?
That is correct.
Awesome. So that answers. I mean, so many people have had questions about: is it like a Fae but shorter, or what does it look like? Is it just a is it going to be a different Fae with different outfits, or what? It is the imp, and you can get your first look at what it looks like in the white paper. But we will be showing you a model of it, a 3D model here very quickly. So cool. Here's a question from G again on land. Will we be purchasing that with Soul or with Ash? And if you read the white paper, we talk about the token launch and that, which will precede anything like land sales. Once we do at that point, once we have done the token launch, then that will be our transaction currency. Stop me if I speak out of turn here, Zorling, but that's how I understand that works.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I hope I'm not skipping anything here. Watercat? It's a weird font. Okay. Says section 5.2 of the white paper says that the Cinder team will get 7% royalty on all sales of Cinderverse NFTs. But looking at the Metaplex metadata for a Genesis Fae, it shows that the shared Cinder team account is actually only getting a 6.3% royalty, with an address belonging to the Fractal team getting a 0.7% royalty. Is this only for the Genesis Fae due to them being minted as part of Fractal's Launchpad platform? Or will Fractal continue to get 0.7% royalties even on the sales of Gen 2 avatars or Daisho? And I think you can clarify here, Zorling, how that percentage works out with Fractal. But I think that the questioner is kind of making the correct assumption here already, which is that if we're not minting with Fractal, then they're not part of that downstream secondary revenue. Our team here is perfectly capable of doing these mints ourselves. We did the initial Fae launch and mint with Fractal because they did bring us a lot of benefit in some of the protections that they were able to offer, and just in bringing their community along to participate. And we are continuing to talk to Fractal and work with them pretty closely, and that's an open question right now as to how and if they would be involved in future mints. But if they're not, then they would not be participating in that.
Correct. Yeah, I first and foremost, I'm impressed that they dug into it that far. But that's exactly the case when we use, and this goes for whether it's Magic Eden or Fractal. Um, Anytime you use their platform, they're looking at money off the deal, and it's fair. Case. With regards to bot protection, how the whitelists were handled. As we mentioned before, that creators array is what determines who gets what and how actually divvied up. So 7% starts at the top, and as it falls down through that creators array, Fractal got 10% of the 7%, which is 0.7, and that's why they noted that 6.3, and so that's how it all ends up. It's really slick. This is, again, those really powerful mechanics that we'll be able to leverage to creators to earn.
Round. I hope everybody caught it. Your mic was cutting out a little bit, but I hope everybody caught all of that. The essence of it is that if we partner with somebody like Fractal, or whether it's another exchange, and use their launchpad, then part of the deal for the things like bot protection and other benefits we get from them is that they get a percentage of those downstream royalties. And that's kind of a demonstration, I think, as you were saying, Zorling, of how that can work with our own creators here in the community when they're the ones receiving downstream royalties. So, will there be a whitelist or whitelist tokens for the next avatar mint that we do? The next avatar mint, of course, will be the imps. But the next new avatar, Genesis avatar, whatever you want to call it, that we do, I think, obviously we will have a whitelist, and we will be leaning into providing as much early access benefit to Fey owners as possible for things like land sales and future whitelists and everything else. You guys were the first and the early supporters here, and we want to make sure that you continue to benefit from that. Let's see. Here's one you might want to answer, Cypher. We're back to land. Purple Penguin wants to know, when it comes to land purchases, will we be able to see our neighbors' land plots and what they build on it? It would be cool and can help raise property value by having nice neighbors. Of course, the flip side of that is that it can lower property values if you have me as a neighbor or somebody like me.
Oh, I'd live by you, Spire.
I'm gonna have the trashiest. It's just gonna be a beaten up, rundown trailer and cars up on blocks and. No, go ahead. What's your answer to the underlying question here?
So my answer, I'll give a little disclaimer here in that we haven't locked these decisions in yet. So this is kind of more conjecture from my part, but we definitely have been exploring. In fact, some cool ideas have come up for individual addresses for players that we thought was sounded pretty cool, and we thought everybody would really like those. We wanted unique ways to be able to travel between those spaces. We haven't finalized the plans on neighborhoods quite yet, though, in that there are some general hurdles there in terms of how we would want to present those, load those in, put them where we would put them, and so there's still discussion that's ongoing. But I do like not only that idea. There's another question, not to jump ahead, but I love these ideas for things like shared ownership of a house, loaning out a house or renting out a house to others. A lot of good ideas in here, things that we are definitely pulling into our conversations, but just a little too early for us to know, I think, at this point.
Yeah. There was a question on the auction system. I think we call it an auction in the white paper, right? And I think that leads naturally to a question we probably have already answered about, will our Fey owners or Avatar owners have access to that, or is it going to be dominated by whales the way that it has been with, with some other online social blockchain worlds like Sandbox or Decentraland, I think we've made it pretty clear. But 2 points there: we definitely want to lean into Fey owners having early access benefits across the board to everything, but also that whatever system we use in distributing this, whether it's a traditional auction or some variation on that, the goal is to get as many people as possible who are NFT owners in and creating, and it's less about making land a premium just by virtue of its scarcity.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good one, and I think this actually got us into an interesting conversation about how token names work across different blockchains. Zorley, do you want to answer Miska Fly? Miska Fly. Is the Cinder Ash token the same Ash from Mortuary Inc., another NFT game project? If not, can we use the same ticker?
Yeah, I am not. Can you guys hear me okay? Cypher said again.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Quiet. Okay, I'll try to speak louder if it goes in and out. But I'm not familiar with Mortuary Inc. It sounds cool. I'll check it out. But in regards to cryptocurrency, when you define a cryptocurrency, you define what they call your symbol, right, or ticker in this particular case, and that doesn't really define the currency. There's an underlying public key. So we can have the same name. You can have Ash or Ember, and somebody else could have the same ticker or symbol, and it doesn't impact it. As far as the functionality, it'll function differently. So the answer is no, it is definitely not the same currency. Yes, it has the same name. Down the road, we can talk about level 2 chains, and we're interested in looking into those. But for now, I think the takeaway from this is it's not the same, but it does have the same name.
Yeah, I think in principle, we wouldn't want to use the same ticker on the same blockchain because that would be confusing.
Now that being said, Ash has right now there are 3 tickers on Solana called Ash. So it's done. It's definitely done. It may not be best practice though.
Yeah. So yeah, I think call that TBD. We've been calling it Ash and Ember internally. If we wind up changing that to make sure that it's distinct, then so be it. I think our point here is more in the white paper at this stage is how it works and less on what we call it. We might decide to call it Shiba Inu. I don't know. I don't think anybody's using that.
I thought it was all about Floki Inu now.
Is it? Isn't it the Shiba Inu people have like 3 different coins 3 worthless coins off of the one original worthless coin? Chip wants to know. You're going to have to explain even what Chip is asking here for me, Cypher. But if rare is 445 to 667 and this Fey is 1059, what would that mean? I'm already confused and my head hurts. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, effectively, this one is my bad. It's written in a manner where I completely understand why it's confusing, and I'm correcting that in the white paper. That'll be one of the things you'll notice an update with. So the idea there was really trying to state that if you have a good example here would be if you have the rarest Fey to the 44th rarest Fey, they are in fact mythic. And that's how the mythic classification came to be. But the way that I have it written makes that confusing, because if you have Fey number 4 or 8 or 44, that does not make it mythic. So really those numbers in the white paper were intended to state how the rarity tiers that you're seeing on Fractal are calculated, or like how those play out. And so really it is based on if I have a mythic, I can see where it falls within that rarity, or a legendary or a rare. But the number of your Fey NFT does not have anything to do with the actual rarity of that NFT.
Okay, that helps, I think. So let's see. Blue Lizard observes that I'm cool with dice show since it seems they're going to be more mechanical than organic creatures like Pokemon, which is definitely true. They're kind of nanotech, but yes, more mechanical. So Hades Crypto says basically SS1. We're talking about the secret stats here, right?
Yes.
SS1 for battles, SS2 for catching, SS3 for running around checking things. Do they understand that correctly?
Pretty close. So SS1 for battles, SS2 for disassembling or destroying a dice show that you no longer want, and then SS3, yes, for checking around and basically harvesting ash from other areas. And then those percentages are broken out in such a way, and the frequency with which these situations would occur within the game are broken out in such a way that I think it's fair to say that SS1 or Secret Stat 1, based on the way that the economy is coming together, should yield slightly higher results than SS2, and that should yield slightly higher results than SS3.
Got it. Okay. So I think we're on an hour now, so I'm going to batch. So just so we get through a lot of the questions that have been asked that we haven't really touched on things yet, so I'm going to batch a couple of these together and hit a few quickly. So, what's it? WorkerCat observes that the white paper terms of use or copyright information in there differs from the terms of use about commercial usage in the game itself, which is right. The one that you read on the website refers to the game itself and not to the player-owned NFTs. But understood what you're saying, that could use some clarification. The underlying principle here is that we want to give you, Creative Commons type rights to use the NFT artwork and use the tokenized dice show artwork that you create, while at the same time protecting the underlying IP of Cinder by not having players using like the logo and images from the game. We'll clarify that and give you some clearer language on it. Zetabomb asks, how do you check rarity? Go to fractal.is/Cinder, and we probably need to clarify some things there more. Cypher, would you say?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Well, I think Zetabomb's asking, how do you check rarity? And right now, you can just go to Fractal and check the rarity of your NFT there. But we also touch on it in the white paper, and I think you were saying maybe it needs to be clarified in the white paper a little.
Yeah, so that's just with that number breakdown. I'll dedicate a page to that. I'll make it crystal clear in there.
Okay. I think we touched on auctions and land and all of that. I think we've gone into that pretty thoroughly. So if there's additional questions on that, we can hit it in follow-ups. Will we be able to lend out our avatars as well as our dice show? And I think we've talked about staking, lending, that kind of thing being certainly on the roadmap. Do you guys have anything further to add?
The only thing I would add is that I think the answer to that is yes. I mean, that's really what we're working on. Design is still, we have a few things in terms of how these tokenomics are going to work out that we have to align on before we can, confidently present those designs for the Fae and the Die Show, but those are in progress, so.
Right. Let's see. Taco Lord, like the Fae biography background story event that we just did, says, I'd love it if we were able to type that up in-game for others to see on our profiles or on something like a Fae profile card. Is that something that we could do? What do you guys think?
I love that idea.
Yeah, me too. I am totally on board. In fact, I think an in-game player profile is, in a sense, is on the way. We really want a place where players can share these backstories, gameplay progress, NFT collections, all that stuff. We really just want to. We're looking at a lot of ways where you can either create or showcase or both. And so I think there's a firm yes to this, and the method in which you'll be able to do this. I think we could expect to see that. Oh, probably in advance of Play to Earn releasing. I can't quite give a firm date yet, but it's very much on our radar.
What do you think
So-
about this question? Brought another one to mind, which is, what do you think about on our second gens allowing people to give them a name and it actually sticks with them?
So that's an interesting side note. So I definitely, right now we work with our usernames, and within our usernames we have our characters. There's a discussion I think we should have there. I absolutely expect that to be the case with the tokenized Daisho, and in fact that is built into the customization designs for those Daisho to be able to name them as well as kind of trick them out. But that's one that I could say a soft yes to, but I really think we'd have to meet just to discuss the interactivity between who is who and what is my username versus my avatar name.
Yeah.
I like that idea too, though. That's actually something that the Fractal guys were also suggesting and thought would be cool if you could name your Fae and have that attached to them.
We definitely have talked about using your basically creating an NFT out of your username. And not to get too into the weeds here, I think, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but in my mind, it's just that potential in-game confusion when you're trying to locate other players. Are you searching for their avatar name or their username? How are those displayed? But again, I'm just rambling here.
Yeah. Okay, so another question: does the rarity of a character have utility in the game? I assume of a like a Fae NFT avatar. Does that have utility in the game, or is the avatar utility only the game access, wings, secret stats, etc.?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. So I did call out the wings and the secret stats. There was a brief touch on these characters' affinity that they will have for specific classifications of Daisho. So I definitely think that's something to look forward to. This could have impacts on which Daisho you're able to capture and train and how well you can utilize those Daisho in battle. Beyond that, though, if we really dive into the rarity question, I think that's one I'd love to be able to come back to or circle back to. While rarity clearly has an impact on the NFT itself, I don't have anything in the white paper at this stage in terms of rarity impacting gameplay. But character class actually does. Let's see. Oh no.
We lost Spire.
We just lost Spire. Oh no.
While we're waiting, I can say Moth, congratulations. Moth was the winner of the Half Soul for our cocktail hour, which I embarrassingly have been calling it coffee hour. Don't ask me, but it's our cocktail hour. And Moth, congrats.
Cool. And then honestly, I think we can continue. Hopefully he can make it back in here.
He's in the audience. He's watching you, so don't mess up.
Uh-oh, now I'm nervous. He actually left at almost the perfect time. There were only a couple of questions. It looks like we've pretty much fielded them in regards to land. I'll holler here that Internal asked a question about will I be able to own areas or locations such as mines or forest where I can travel or where I can harvest resources or let others harvest? That's a great question. I think when we talk about things like land, which again, we won't go too deep into this, I could see benefit to recharging Daisho for battle and other things that actually could impact the player's basically cost basis for Ash. And so they could actually save Ash in certain cases by utilizing other land. There could be a whole bunch of other things that we will come up with along the way as we get to these designs, but that's about all I really have to share there. Blue Lizard asked about the T's at the bottom of the white paper, and that is in fact the AMP. And there's only one more, and that is with the dice show, could we form leagues or have group battles against other leagues? We are actually super close to revealing how that combat would work within the game. And I know we had that kind of conversation about Pokemon versus Shin Megami Tensei and kind of a little bit of what we were looking at in terms of this turn-based battling. So I think more on that to come, but as we get this play to earn mechanic up and running, we'll be looking at not just the play to earn combat within the game, but I'm hopeful we'll have some really cool events at that stage that we can kick off with the players as well.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Cool.
I
just
did. I
finished.
popped back. Oh, you did. Good. I like that. Yeah, I think one of our mods may have just exercised some editorial control and shut me up, but I got back in anyway. So, yeah, I hope in my absence you got some other questions answered, and that we're kind of through this. But I want to give Hack a chance to tell us what's coming up on the social channels this coming week.
Between a couple of things, and let me know, tag me in Discord if you have sent suggestions to me and I just haven't seen them. But honestly, I was thinking of, hold on, I wrote it down. Because I was like, I don't know if this one's that good this week, but let's see. And Leisha kind of helped me with this. Like something with the parlor, like just take a group of pics and we decide which one's the best. Something like that. Something to do with the parlor. Get groups together, get your friends together, but the photographer will be the winner. I'm still playing with it. I know, like I'm kind of like, ooh, I may need a weekend where I just come up with a bunch of ideas, because this week I was like, oh man, I don't know, like the faucet ran a little dry.
That's all right. I think if we can get some suggestions from the community over the next day or two, we can announce something on Monday. But yeah. I know that we've got a list of your ideas kicking around. It's just a matter of picking one.
Yeah. So I'll have to find that list, because that's why I make those lists. So when the brain is like, no, I'm not going to give you anything, you can go back to the list and be like, aha, I did have something.
Okay. So we will. Let's hit the audience for some ideas there, because I know that there've been some that people have thrown out, and we'll just maybe take a vote over the weekend. You start to say something there, Zorling?
Yeah, you said kicking around, and it actually just reminded me that we do have something really exciting. Maybe I shouldn't oversell it, but something fun to do in Cinder coming this week. So I could turn that over to Cypher, but you're going to be able to kick something in the game.
Oh, yeah. I think we've talked. Oh, I think we've talked about this a little bit in previous AMAs, just getting some activities in the game, some things that the community can engage with. And I kind of wanted to give a little bit of another disclaimer here, in that these are not some of these additions you're going to see in the coming weeks. These are meant for entertainment purposes only. They are not, though, put in terms of the main core loop of the game. But as we're sitting and prototyping and we're working through different scenarios, we land on things that we think actually have some merit and maybe make sense to throw in for you guys to engage with. And so I would say as early as next Monday, at the latest maybe next Wednesday, just depending on how the build process goes for this, we'll be putting in, I'll call it 1.5 new activities. These are very much emergent gameplay pieces, things that you can just engage with within the Traders Port area. But again, please note, this is just us having fun, making sure you guys are having fun. But we always love your feedback, and some of these we do see potential to grow them into something bigger or better, and others we'll just put in for a week or two and maybe pull out and move to the next thing. But we want to make sure that you're seeing some of the fun stuff we get to work on the side.
So when are we going to see some of this stuff? When are we dropping it?
Oh, we are quite literally in the testing phase right now. So we are looking at Zorling and I have the goal of Monday. I just want to be a realist and say it could be sometime between, well, it should be the first half of next week, but we are still targeting Monday.
All right. So more to come on Monday, but yeah, we've been playing around with some just fun little spontaneous experiences that you could do in the game, just kind of silly little games that turn out to be surprisingly fun when we're testing them. And so we're going to start sharing some of those with you because I think it's a fun thing to do during cocktail hour.
Yeah, I really hope to see some of these become contest drivers for us. We've been having fun here, so we'll see how the reception, how these are received by the community. In line with that too, if I may, I wanted to bring up to the community that we're loving these suggestions that we're getting in Discord, and they don't just die in the Discord thread and get pushed, up above the fold. We really have been. I'm looking at a spreadsheet right now where we have ideas from everything from dance floors to jukeboxes to honestly controller support. That's a big one. But we're looking at everything from locomotion to onboarding to gameplay, UI, exclusivity, play to earn. There are just a ton of ideas and good ideas coming in from the community. So please keep them coming. As a development group, and especially as a design team, we've been tracking these and we are meeting on them as we move in further into the design process for some of these features. So maybe you'll see some of these in the near future.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've kept these good people long enough, but thank you all for all of the fantastic questions. You've given us some things to go and clarify in the white paper as it exists now. I think we mentioned some new stuff that you're going to see in the game on Monday. Some big announcements coming next month, but for March, we can still look forward to our creator tokens airdropping before the end of the month. And in addition to some new stuff appearing in the world of Cinder very soon, we'll see some new contests appearing in the world of Hack very soon, as soon as Monday. And yeah, thank you all for joining us here today. It is always a lot of fun. We took a vote this time, or kind of a poll from all y'all in the Discord to see when would be the best time, convenience-wise, for you to join us on a Friday, and we'll continue to have that conversation as we try and kind of dial in a time that is easiest for everybody to pop in and join the AMAs, because we get a lot out of your feedback here. Any final thoughts, folks?
I think that's it from my end. I'm just excited. I expect revisions to the white paper early next week, and I'm excited for the next month and what it will bring.
Yeah. All right. Well, Zorling, Cypher, Hack, thank you very much for joining us here again, and everybody have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks, you guys. Take care.
Bye, everybody.